there are some things that cannot be explained, or perhaps we human beings can't comprehend them. And one such phenomenon is Mount Kailash. Standing tall at 21,778 feet above the ground in the Trans-Himalaya region, Mount Kailash is not an ordinary mountain. It's a hub of stories, mysteries and mysticism, and the abode of Lord Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction. Many years ago, King Daksha's daughter Sati fell deeply in love with Lord Shiva against her father's wishes. Shiva is the Indian god of destruction, and he does not discriminate against anyone. Therefore, all kinds of energies stay near him. These include light and dark energies, and often ghosts and spirits reside with Shiva. Meditating on Kailash and living with spirits and ghosts was not acceptable to King Daksha, and that's why he didn't like Shiva. But being deeply in love with Shiva, Sati married him against her father's wishes and started living happily on Mount Kailash. Until one day, Sati learned that her father, King Daksha, was planning a big yajna. Daksha invited all the gods to the yajna, except Lord Shiva. So, full of rage and anger, she went to the yajna. She stood in front of her father and demanded to know why he did not invite her husband to the yajna. After hearing this, King Daksha started insulting Lord Shiva in front of everyone, and this insult was too much for Sati to bear. Heartbroken by her husband's humiliation and disrespect by her father, Sati immolated herself in the fire. After Sati's painful death, Lord Shiva plunged into grief and unleashed Tandava, a dance of death and destruction which destroyed everything around him. In his extreme anger and sorrow during the Tandava, Lord Shiva even tore his hair and skin off his head. Because of Sati's death, Lord Shiva was so grieved that he started living among malevolent spirits in the netherworld. But one day, other gods gathered and told Lord Shiva that Sati will be reborn as Parvati in the future. So, Shiva went back to Mount Kailash to wait for Sati's rebirth. True to God's words, Sati was reborn as Parvati. Later, Shiva and Parvati got married and started living on Mount Kailash. It is believed that Shiva, along with Parvati, is still meditating there for the past 21,000 years. In fact, in the year 2016, NASA took a picture of Mount Kailash with a satellite, and it seemed to show Shiva's face on the top of the mountain. According to ancient Hindu texts and epics, the peak of Mount Kailash is the axis mundi, the sacred axis around which all planes of creation revolve. And it is made of precious elements like crystal, ruby, gold, and lapis lazuli. It is located exactly 6,666 kilometers from the North Pole, and exactly double that distance from the South Pole at 13,332 kilometers away. Mount Kailash is situated close to two important lakes, Lake Mansarovar and Lake Rakshasa Tal. Mansarovar is known as the God Lake and is considered holy due to its pure and sacred waters. But just next to it is Rakshasa Tal, which is salty and completely devoid of all life forms. Rakshasa in Sanskrit means demon, and Rakshasa Tal is also called Lake of the Demon, or Devil's Lake, harboring many paranormal stories and an interesting origin story. According to Uttarakhand, as depicted in the revered Ramayana, once the demon king of Lanka, Ravana, tried to fly over Mount Kailash, but he was unable to do so. So, out of anger and pride, he starts shaking Mount Kailash in an attempt to uproot it. In response, Lord Shiva uses his big toe to press the mountain, trapping Ravana beneath it for around 1,000 years. Eventually, Ravana realized his mistake and started singing hymns and praising Lord Shiva to seek forgiveness. After being forgiven, Ravana wanted to prove his devotion to Lord Shiva and gain immense power. So, he engaged in intense penance and meditation that lasted for thousands of years. In his pursuit, Ravana decided to offer his own head to Lord Shiva. Interestingly, every time he cut off his head, a new one grew in its place. However, before he could attempt the 10th time, Lord Shiva appeared before him. Impressed by Ravana's dedication, Lord Shiva not only granted him powerful boons, but also restored all his heads. The place where Ravana's blood fell formed the Rakshasa Tal. Legend has it that if people visit this lake and show disrespect, the cursed lake may bring harm to them. People who drink the water may experience severe health problems, leading to serious illnesses. Research suggests that these health issues are connected to the lake's very salty water. However, according to the local beliefs, this eerie lake is believed to be visited by spirits of people with bad karma. Their anger, pain, and resentment are believed to affect the area. As a result, it is strongly advised for everyone to stay away from this lake. Mount Kailash is considered unconquered as no one has officially climbed it. However, in historical accounts, 2 individuals have made it to the summit: the Tibetan monk Milarepa and the legendary Yudhishthira, the eldest among the 5 Pandava brothers. Around 3000 BC, the world is said to have entered the Kali Yuga, the darkest age among the 4 yugas in Hindu cosmology. During the transition to Kali Yuga, the first nuclear war of the world, the Kurukshetra War took place. This war, fought between Kauravas and Pandavas, lasted for 18 days and saw more than 3,900,000 soldiers brutally dying. Ultimately, the Pandavas emerged victorious and ruled the kingdom of Hastinapur for 36 years, but they could not find inner peace and tranquility. Seeking spiritual solace and liberation, they decided to embark on a journey to Mount Kailash. They knew that it was a path to heaven, but only those who hadn't committed evil deeds can reach the summit. As the Pandavas and their wife Draupadi climbed Mount Kailash, they faced many challenges. One by one, Draupadi and 4 of the Pandavas died. Yudhishthira was the epitome of righteousness, and therefore only he reached the summit. But there was someone else with Yudhishthira who reached the summit. It was Yama, the Hindu lord of death, who had been accompanying Yudhishthira in the form of a dog since the beginning of the climb. It is said that Yama is still guarding the dying way to heaven in Mount Kailash. To start the circumambulation of Mount Kailash, pilgrims must first pass through the Yama Dwar, also known as the Gateway of Yama. Crossing this gateway is like asking permission from the god of death, seeking his mercy, because Yama Dwar serves as the entry point to the heavenly abode of Lord Shiva. According to legend, when a pilgrim crosses Yama Dwar, they must not look back, as it shows disrespect to Yama. Turning back at the Dwar can bring extreme bad luck, leading to mishaps in their life and during the pilgrimage. Every year, around 20,000 people go on a journey to Kailash Mansarovar Lake to find spiritual peace and wisdom. Pilgrims walk around the mountain in a clockwise direction, starting from its southern side. It is believed that a person goes through many life cycles, and going once around Mount Kailash is like completing one of those cycles. Hindus believe that by making this pilgrimage, they can reach moksha, which means being free from the cycle of life and death. But something unusual happens with them on this mountain. Pilgrims who come back from the journey say that their nails and hair grow really fast during the trip. They say the growth experienced in 12 hours is like what would normally happen over 2 weeks. Some pilgrims even say that not only did their hair grow fast, but it also turned grey. It seems like spending a few days on Mount Kailash makes people ages faster. So, this was about the journey to Mount Kailash, but when it comes to actually climbing it, many people have met miserable failures. Interestingly, a few years ago, a group of mountaineers from Siberia who went past a certain point while trying to climb Mount Kailash died within a year after the expedition. Mount Kailash has a pyramid-like shape. Therefore, some ideas suggest that it might not be a natural formation, but rather a man-made structure created by some advanced civilization around 20 million years ago. This is supported by the claims that many people have seen bright lights on the mountain's top, and pilgrims have witnessed aliens and UFOs. On a different note, Hindu devotees believe that these lights appear during the Brahma Muhurat, which is between 3:30 AM to 5 AM. This time is considered divine in Hinduism, with the belief that many gods and goddesses from heaven travel to Kailash during this period. And this divine intervention creates the sparkling bright lights called Divya Jyoti. When visiting the area of Mount Kailash or Mansarovar Lake, you might notice a constant sound. However, upon careful listening, it resembles the sound of a power drum and the chant of Om. Pilgrims say that they not only hear the drum, but also feel the land shake. In Hinduism, Lord Shiva's power drum and tandava are enough to tremble everyone from a distance. People believe that when Shiva plays the drum and dances, the power could destroy the whole world. So, this mountain is said to house an energy that could destroy the world anytime. Some research theories suggest that the energy that lies in this mountain is like nuclear power, hinting that Mount Kailash might be a source of nuclear power. Other theories say the sounds people hear might come from alien communities that are still living in the mountain. Mount Kailash is more than a natural mountain, and to prove it, Mount Kailash has another special property. This mountain moves and changes its position. The reason why no one has ever been able to climb this mountain is that Mount Kailash is not constant. It keeps changing. Many climbers have noticed that while climbing, their path often keeps changing, and they often start heading the wrong way. Not just that, Mount Kailash keeps altering its physical position from one place to another. Many climbers report experiencing these changes multiple times during their ascent. Among the many mysteries surrounding Mount Kailash, one of the most significant is the Hindu belief that Lord Shiva will block your path if your karma is not good. Because even an impure person or someone with negative energy can impact the mountain's pure and powerful divine energies. Climbing on top of Mount Kailash is not only risky, but now, due to security reasons, climbing to the top of Kailash has now been banned by the Chinese government. Mount Kailash is found about 100 kilometers away from the borders of India, China, and Nepal. It's in the Kailash region of the Trans-Himalaya on the western part of the Tibetan Plateau. Because it is so close to these borders, drone photography is not allowed due to security concerns. So we can't search for answers to these mysteries, but you can still embark on the journey to go around the mountain. So would you like to go on this journey? Whether your goal is to find peace or to unravel some of its mysteries, one thing is for sure. Your journey will be filled with tales of new discoveries and exciting adventures. Please subscribe and we can continue this journey of exploring the myths and mysteries around us.